Good day and welcome to the Lifestyle League. And today we are chilling with Comrade Ntsako, the chairperson of the Gauteng Youth League. Ladies and gentlemen, Comrade Ntsako.
Yeah.
What do I say? Do I say good day or kirola or what do I say? Because you are a young person after all.
Wayang hola, eta, awa.
Eita, Comrade Eita.
Yeah, no.
How are you, my brother?
No, sharp man.
And firstly, congratulations on your appointment. We call it an appointment in
No, it's an election.
election.
Yeah, I was appointed. Last time you saw me, I was appointed.
You were
Now
appointed.
I'm elected.
You are now elected
people.
officially now.
Yeah.
It's official.
Yeah, no, it's official now.
Congratulations. For how long is your term?
Thank you so much. My term is 3 years.
Okay.
So I'll be serving young people for the next 3 years.
But 3 years is nothing.
Yeah, of course. I mean, every organization has got its own constitution. And of course, we are given mandate for 3 years. So we have to do our best in the next 3 years. But of course, myself personally, I have to keep servicing the young people or our people, whether the term or not. But this is what we've been doing all our lives, servicing young
We're going to
people.
get to that point. But firstly, to those that don't know, who's Comrade Kevin Mogobe?
Yeah.
What is your background?
Yeah, they don't know even the name Kevin.
I mean, I had to expose you and say Kevin. Like, who's Kevin Mogobe? What is it about? Because everybody only knows about Comrade Ntsako.
Yeah, no. I'm Ntsako, Kevin Mogobe. I'm a boy from Soshanguve, a township called Soshanguve in Pretoria.
Where in Soshanguve?
Go the age. Let's go the age.
Because I did stay in Soshanguve.
Koka.
How far are you from Halala?
Not far.
You don't even know Halala.
Not far. Go.
Do they still have Halala?
It's still there, Halala. We grew up there. Okay. One of our meetings we held there when we grew up. So I'm from Soshanguve, a product of a single mother. Did my schooling even in Soshanguve, grew up, did everything in Soshanguve. You know, at some point I was a soccer player, got the age.
Wow, nice.
I participated in school choirs, led RCLs and everything. I was a very active young man during my student days.
And then how do you get into politics?
Getting into politics, it's a funny thing. You know, I was studying at Elizabeth Matsemela High School. The son of the principal was a member of the Congress of South African Students. But then now there used to be students coming from other schools coming to our schools. Of course, I got interested in one of the students there. Ultimately, I saw myself in a meeting. Of course, that's
Just said how you sheltered the student.
No. I didn't even get there to share, you know. This student came wearing another uniform. Obviously, you're like, wow. These are new students in our school. And in the meeting, of course, us was there. Then I followed that student, entered the meeting, and she was like, if you want to talk to me, wait for me after my meeting.
I'm still in the meeting.
I'm still in a meeting. Then I entered the meeting. When I arrived in the meeting, these people are speaking about student struggles, you know, school fees, the abolition of corporal punishment, and all that. Then I related to the struggles. And I even forgot that I had to share. Then I ended up participating.
How old are you then?
I was about 14.
14.
Yeah.
And you already saw chicks, like you had to follow chicks around at 14.
Yeah, I mean, it's adolescent stage at that time, you know, between the ages of 12, 13, towards 16.
You know, it's very interesting, but I'm now interested in something that you said.
Yeah.
You followed this young lady.
Yeah.
Let's say she gave you an opportunity to talk. What were you going to say to her?
I don't know. I was taking my chances. I'm just happy that I fall in love with politics then.
After falling in love with that young lady.
in love. And then I got saved.
By politics.
Yeah, at that time,
Yeah.
yeah, I had to overcome it. But then I was saved by.
You were such a brave young man at the age of 14,
Yeah.
following chicks already.
Yeah, no, we grow up, and these are the things we meet with in the streets. These are social challenges that young people face. We are not immune from them. And then we grew up in the space, and that's why we know that.
So was she already in COSAS?
She was, yes.
And then you joined COSAS?
Then I joined COSAS.
And then take us from the COSAS days?
From joining COSAS, then we then led struggles around corporal punishment. We led struggles against teachers who were in relationships with students at school level. We led marches, joined COSAS, got my first trip to go to Durban, just for team building purposes. So that
And how old are you then?
Political training. I was still 14. Okay. In the same year, because of my activeness, I was selected of one of those who will then go and do political training in a place called Porcheston in Durban.
Who was the leader of COSAS by then? Was it the days of Lebogang or?
No, it was the days of Kenny Mutseha.
Okay.
The provincial chairperson was Percy Mashatini Ntsolo. So we were led by them. Then
You are 14, you are going to Durban, you are suddenly calling yourself a politician, or you didn't even know what politics are?
I got a bit interested in politics. I think my mother was a unionist at work. Of course, I was aware of the environment, but as to I'll be an active participant, I didn't know. And I think that's how I fell in love. It was easy for me to continue with courses. I even forgot, hey, I came here to see something else. Now I'm doing something else. And then from then, I was consistent in politics. Then I was elected to be the branch secretary of COSAS in Soshanguve, led all students in Soshanguve.
Tell me, at that age, do you guys also go to branches at that particular point in time?
Yes, you do branches. You get taught when you join COSAS that before you are a student, you are then a member of the community. Meaning the struggles that you are engaged with in the school premises, they will be affected by what happens outside. Then I got introduced to the ANC Youth League, and I got introduced to the Young Communist League at that age. At the age of 16, I led a branch of the Young Communist League. I was recruited to the YCL, so I was a communist.
Are you still a communist?
Yeah, no. I don't know. History will judge as to whether I'm a communist or not. Yeah, but then, and I then led the youth league then. At that age, I was a deputy secretary of 36 at that time of the youth league. And then still secretary of COSAS, then became a secretary of the YCL. So I had 3 positions at that age.
It's YCL secretary?
Yeah, deputy secretary of the youth league in a branch level and the secretary of COSAS.
Wow.
Yeah. Every time I'll go to a meeting, I'll be elected. I don't know why people.
Would you say it's through your hard work or through the charm that you have? Because in politics as well, the charm works. I mean, others are putspeckers, others are very brilliant, but they can't speak for themselves.
I think it's the hard work. I'm a very good organizer. I organize a lot of things, whether we're in the family, whether we're with friends. I'm the one who organizes events. So I'm a very good organizer. So I think they saw that in me, or they appreciated how I used to work at that particular point in time. Then later on elected regional chair of COSAS, then the provincial chairperson of COSAS. My first time coming to Joburg then, those times, yeah.
Yeah.
Was called Jimmy Come to Joburg. Very tough.
That's why you're so sharp these days. Tell me, what does this position that you just got now mean to you personally?
Yeah.
And obviously politically.
Of course, it's a very big position that, of course, I must appreciate and respect. Of course, From an early age, I believed that I love working for people, not young people generally only, but I love servicing our people or helping out. For me, it's an honor.
Talking about servicing people, what are your main priorities as a chairperson of the Youth League of Gauteng?
Look, I want young people to play big in the mainstream economy of Gauteng. I want them to be elevated. Of course, part of the things that we're dealing with is that we have got a lot of social problems for young people. We want to take out the disengaged youth from corners in all the townships or remote areas. We want to take youth out of drugs. We want youth to participate in the mainstream economy, occupy serious positions in government.
I was about to go there. I was going to say, how do you influence, the conversation we had before he became the chairperson? I was saying to you guys, you are actually disappointing because you are youth league, but you never hold high positions till you are gone beyond the stage of being youth.
Yes.
And how are you guys going to ever solve this problem? Because you are youth leaders, but who are you leading? What influence do you have? I know you're an MPL, but what other influence do you have?
No, you're correct. Look, that's why our conference spoke about we want 50% of young people to occupy serious positions of power. In all corridors of power, we want young people to be CEOs. We want them to be senior managers. There must be young people who are HODs. And that's why we also fought on a struggle that maybe let's scrap out experience in terms of requirements for senior management levels in terms of job entries. And in fact, these young people will then be able to gain experience when they are given that opportunity to.
But how do you scrape experience? You just cannot replace experience. How do you scrape experience? How are you going to motivate that? How are you going to convince?
No, it has been resolved now that for entry-level positions that then experience will then be scrapped. But our struggle is that young people must also occupy.
Oh, it's on entry level.
On entry level.
Oh, that makes sense.
But I'm defining our struggle that young people must also occupy senior management level positions in government. And of course, for young people to gain experience, they must occupy the space. And of course, we're in a process where we're then saying, can we then try to meet them halfway so that we also plan for the future, build new administrators that for 30 years to come, they will then be knowing what they're doing. I mean, we can't be planning. There's nothing wrong with old people, but the ones we have now in government are more relaxed and comfortable with about doing nothing.
Because for me, we have a serious issue of youth unemployment in this country. And I'm sitting here with the chairperson of the Gauteng Youth League. And as much as you are an MPL, I feel like you still don't have power enough to make decisions. In a way, you are indirectly unemployed. And then how are you going to convince people to be employing youth?
No. I hear you. You're correct. I mean, we've been saying that it is important for the leadership of the ANC to invest in young people and deliberately. And they must stop seeing young people as their own child soldiers, people who can then work to elevate them, and they must then occupy nothing. This generation of the Youth League that we're leading, we want them to be serious people. As they enter the ANC must be ready to give young people responsibility. We were given tasks by the ANC when we were young, and that's why we have the confidence and the ability to then feel that we can lead in higher levels of the African National Congress. So it is important for us to give young people a proper social standing in society so that they can have confidence to lead anywhere they want, in the spheres of government, private sector, any level where they want to lead.
What are your main priorities in these 3 years? Because 3 years, trust me, in a leadership position can be very short. More especially if you're not vigilant.
Make sure that Gauteng government gives a larger number of young people get access to education, and that's why we're calling for a repositioning or rebooting of the GCRA. Part of our priorities, I spoke about making sure that young people participate in the mainstream economy. What I'm passionate about is that you get a lot of reports of departments not reaching their targets in terms of targets for young people. And for us, that's an irritation. That's why we're very impatient with such officials, and we feel that they must start to move away from government because they don't have an appetite to serve. Every year, you get a report that departments are not reaching targets, money keeps going back, we're not spending any money, and we still have young people in squalor, disengaged youth, unemployed. You've got unemployed graduates as well. You've got a lot of young people who went to school, but
Yeah, they are. I'm saying that's why they're here, most of
the
us.
government is
Yes.
unable to take them in because of administrators who don't believe in policies of the ruling party.
You mentioned GCRA. I'm sitting at home, I'm a young person. What's GRSA?
GCRA is
GCRA.
Gauteng Youth Academy.
It's Gauteng?
Youth Academy.
Okay.
It's supposed to be skilling young people. It's responsible for giving young people skills. It's supposed to also be giving young people access to education by giving out bursaries. And then where we are is that it has been doing a lot of work.
So the GCRA resides in which portfolio?
It's in the Department of Education. It's a unit in the Department of Education. So it's currently led by MEC Matome Chilwan. Yeah.
Okay. So if the youth out there want to be in contact with GCRA or to find out more, do they find it on the website or what do they do?
They find it on the website, they visit the offices, and of course the Youth League branches, of course, are available to assist young people who want to get in contact with the GCRA.
You were appointed in Feb, right?
I was elected in December.
In December. Now we 2 months.
2 months.
2 months. What have you done in 2 months? It was still holidays?
No. We are rebuilding structures of the organization. After I was elected in 2 weeks, we took 2 regional conferences, metros to regional conferences. We took Ekurhuleni and Tshwane, and we also had a responsibility to take Sidibeng and the Western region to conferences, rebuilding structures of the movement so that structures can be given mandate and all of us take charge in ensuring that the challenges and struggles of young people are taken
What
forward.
happens in the process of you rebuilding those structures? I'm not interested in politics. I'm a young person, but I need opportunities.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Comrade Ntsako and I'm saying, what opportunities is he going to bring to me? Because he's busy rebuilding structures and I don't really care about structures.
And rebuilding structures, you see, the Youth League has got what you call twin tasks. The first task is to champion interest of young people. So in the rebuilding process, you must master that art of championing interest of young people. And they vary. There's social problems, and there's also young people who are woke, who want to be in spaces. You must be able to elevate their issues as well. But again, is to ensure that in the twin task that we rally young people under the banner of the ANC. So meaningly, the Youth League must always be able to influence the ANC in ensuring that young people have got access to information and access to opportunities that they can be able to utilize. So the Youth League bridges that gap between the ANC and the youth of this country.
You mentioned earlier that, you sometimes feel like those that have been there before don't want to allow the young people to take over.
Yeah.
Do you still feel the need to have, the ANC Youth League and the ANC Women's League? When you look at parties like EFF, for example, they don't have such,
Yeah.
but they are progressing.
Yeah.
So do you still think there's
I'm
a
not
bridge?
sure whether the EFF is progressing. It's sitting stagnant on 1 million support base and dwindling down. But it is important to build young people at an early age, allow them to have their own structures, have some sense of responsibility, and making sure that they're able to take decisions. But also create a level of and space for innovation where young people can sit down and decide on their own what they want to do in terms of what must happen to the country they are in. Then the Youth League then becomes a reservoir where we'll then store and build leadership for the ANC.
You spoke about the EFF being stagnant, but each time we check higher learning institutions, they are forever leading in elections and
No, not
stuff
anymore.
like that. So
Not
how
anymore.
do you call such a vibrant organization stagnant?
Not anymore. The PYA has reclaimed campuses immediately just after elections. We have reclaimed VUT. We have reclaimed majority of campuses in Gauteng as the PYA, of course, supporting SASCO. What killed us in terms of elections last year was, of course, the mismanagement in terms of NSFAS, which we had to call out the ANC, and we're very happy now that Minister Nzimande is deployed elsewhere than higher education, because we believed he would have overseen that particular process more wisely, like a communist, and put the interests of students first in ensuring that students get access to
What has
education.
NSFAS got to do with the ANC Youth League losing elections? I'm not understanding that.
The NFSAS, of course, it's administered by the ANC government.
Yeah.
So students relate
It
the
was
failures.
before or even now.
Yeah, students relate. Yeah, the ANC is leading government.
Yeah, no, but they remember there's GNU now. That's why we have to be careful what we say.
Students relate the failures of government towards the Youth League, because we are within the ANC and we should be calling out on wrongdoing by ANC deployees in government. And of course, I think at that time, students felt that maybe we're not doing enough in calling out wrongdoing. And that's why the Youth League started to call for the sacking of Minister Nzimande. And now we're happy that he's no longer handling those issues. And of course, we are hoping that now we're seeing very less and minimal challenges, but we're hoping that there will be no challenges in terms of NFSAS and students.
Do you now, as Comrade Ntsako, as a chairperson of Gauteng, have the powers and the rights to call for national leadership to step down, or do you have to go through the channels of the youth president?
Of course, the national leadership leads in national level, but as the Youth League, we have a right to call out any wrongdoing by ANC leaders, irrespective of speaking about a branch or a councillor, a mayor, a premier, or a president. We can call out and say, these are the things that we think that they're not being done correctly. And of course, other issues that are done national level, they will have to be led by the Youth League president, a very vibrant president of the Youth League who brought the Youth League to life in this generation.
Yeah, because, I am so lucky to have lived in the generation of Peter Mokaba,
Yes.
Malusi Kikaba,
Yeah.
Mbalula, Julius. And then suddenly there's no youth league.
Yeah.
And then, these days at least it's coming back. So I sit here and I'm thinking and I'm listening to you and I'm saying to you, what would this generation be remembered for?
Yeah.
This generation, your current generation, because you are not vibrant, you are seen as cowards, you are seen as not doing anything.
Will be remembered for fighting for economic freedom and social change now.
And somebody will say, but that was Julius. That's why he left with
No,
Economic Freedom Front.
we elevated those struggles. Remember, the generation before political freedom fought for political freedom. 2011 Youth League, I was part of that conference, by the way, in Gallagher. The Youth League said it's...
I was sitting in the front, by the way.
Yeah, the Youth League said it's time to fight for economic freedom. In the conference where we elected President Colin Malachi, we then said, let's elevate the struggles, because we can't fight for economic freedom and not fight for a better social standing of young people in society. Then that's when we say we're fighting for economic freedom and social change now. So these struggles are intertwined. That young people must
Please explain them, break them down nicely. I understand the economic part.
Yes,
but the
social struggles of young people, where we speak about young people being engaged in drugs and all that.
Substance abuse,
unemployment, all of those struggles, they are social problems. And if we don't give young people a better social standing in society, we'll not give them confidence enough to fight for economic freedom. Because you are saying young people must fight for economic freedom. At the very same time, they don't even have money to pay for a taxi fare to go to municipal offices, to go and look out for opportunities, or go to an internet cafe. But once you are able to deal with those social problems, give them access to education, you are then elevating the struggle for economic freedom to be at least better, and young people are able to then advance and be confident in ensuring that they showcase what they're talented with.
Is it not always a problem for you guys at the moment as leaders of the youth in dealing with such problems when you look at how ignorant, some, not every, but the majority of the youth are ignorant to politics?
Look, young people are not ignorant to politics. They're just impatient in terms of the level of innovation. And that's where the Youth League must then come in.
Why are they not voting then?
Young people are voting. Of course, there's voter apathy, but majority of young people are actively voting.
What do you mean the majority?
They are voting. I mean,
the people that are voting, the youth number is below 50.
Yeah, it's below 50, but even when you check way before, it was worse. And we're continuously influencing young people to then be able to vote. But part of the things also, it's not that they're that ignorant, it's access to information. Part of the struggles that we must be able to fight for. And that's why when you engage a lot of young people, give them information, they then can understand that it is important for us to participate in democracy and ensure that we choose a party that will then take South Africa forward.
Would you say the Youth League priorities and the main ANC priorities are aligned?
Yeah, they are aligned. We have influenced many resolutions that the ANC must then be able to take. What we're dealing with in the ANC, it's old people who are afraid to take decisions. So the ANC has got beautiful policies. We influence, whether you speak about free education, whether you speak about export quotas, whether you speak about the land. But now once they get into government, they get exposed to wrong things. That's why you see certain leaders of the ANC are accused of corruption. Some, we are accusing them of laziness and failure to take accountability and take the correct decisions. And they start to employ people who are not patriotic to this country, officials that only wants to see themselves getting a paycheck and enriching themselves, and not even aligned to the policies of the ruling party. And that's what we're dealing with. Now you've got ANC leaders who don't want to take decisions, or who are...
How do you deal with a leader that doesn't want to take decisions? Because I often hear you guys talk about that, and we can say whatever we want about Julius, but he was decisive. Whether it being wrong or right, but he was decisive.
We're not sure. He was never in government. We're speaking about leaders in government.
No, I'm talking about at the moment,
Yeah.
your position, whether you're in government or not,
Yeah.
it's a political position.
Yes. Yes.
You just happen to be an MPL.
Yeah.
But you need
Of
to
course.
speak to the youth
Yes.
as a political.
For the voice of your
Yes.
Yeah, you're correct. Look, I mean, the Youth League despises an indecisive leader of the ANC. That's why we call out on them everywhere in any public spaces we get, and even in constitutional meetings of the ANC. We call out on them that this is not what we believe you should be doing as ANC leaders. You can do better. Now, the problem is that once leaders are elected, you've got a constitution and a 5-year term. It means the role of the Youth League at that term must give energy to that leadership of the ANC. That young people are impatient, young people are unemployed, young people want access to jobs and access to education. And of course, access to express their talents. And then we can't be having yourself sleeping on the job. And that's why we call out on them in every platform we get.
Which leader would you say was decisive?
Of the ANC,
Youth League.
of the Youth League, were inspired by President Peter Makawa.
Okay, so you basically saying the only decisive leadership was during my time. It was during my time. Since then there was no decisive leadership.
No. Of course, the Youth League faced different struggles. Like the current Youth League were facing a different struggle, repositioning the ANC to where it was in society, mobilize young people, which I think were doing well. Young people are starting to speak about the Youth League again. Whether we're doing correct things or not, it's for them to judge us. But at least we've got the Youth League to be on the agenda.
Why should it be about the Youth League rather than the youth? Because the ANC is leader of the country.
Remember, it's all about the youth. We are the Youth League of the ruling party. We represent, of course, all sectors of young people in South Africa. So it's all about the youth of this country. But we're representing them under this banner called the Youth League, because through the Youth League, it's where you are sharpened, given political education, given education to then be able to represent young people of this particular country.
Would you say, looking at government now, does it have enough programs that help the youth?
It's not enough. They are trying, but we don't think they're giving space young people to be innovative enough and consulting youth structures enough. And that's why we believe that they must start to open up space. You know, the ANC is doing well. You've got the NYDA. But what we're not happy about here in Gauteng is that you don't have a channeled institution that speaks about youth issues. You don't have
What happened to the NYDA in Gauteng?
No,
Do they still have those provincial ones?
the provincial structures of the NYDA were collapsed.
Yes, because they've disappeared.
We are not.
I remember at some point Simon was the chairperson.
Yes,
And since then,
as the last chairperson, the first and the last. So it was decentralized to have districts and all that. Now, what you have youth units in political offices. In the office of the premier was supposed to be having a youth directorate in Gauteng.
I've met them.
Yeah, which we don't know what they're
Yeah,
doing.
I was going to say, I've met them.
We are not
What are you guys doing?
We are not impressed about them. They are not our favorite people now. And then we're engaging the premier to soon take these people out who are bringing a Gauteng Youth Advisory Panel, but also will then do consultations.
Because that's where I say you guys are powerless, because you are not even, it takes me back to the issue of the decisiveness I was talking about, Julius.
Yeah.
He knew who was doing what, where,
Yeah.
at what point.
No.
And I'm glad that you are even aware that the NYDA is no more existent in Gauteng, for example.
Yeah.
They don't have that provincial units.
Yeah.
And you are aware that there are youth directorates, but you guys are
Which we're not impressed with them.
Yeah.
But
what are you doing about
I think
that?
we diagnosed the problem.
Yes.
And that's why the premier.
But what are you doing about
That's why the premier will be appointing a youth advisory panel, a resolution of the Youth League of Gauteng, that bring a youth advisory panel, a board that will then mainstream youth development in all your departments. And then that board will then speak about this directorate, so that this directorate can then have teeth to implement youth programs in the province. So mainstreaming will then have people who will then be deployed in all departments.
But what are the timelines for that?
No, we're giving him until next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To start moving.
We said by his State of the Province address, he must then pronounce this advisory board. At least he has advertised, people have applied. We're waiting for the pronouncement.
Okay.
And that's our resolution as the Youth League, that you must have a Gauteng Youth Advisory Panel, because you can't do anything for young people without being advised by young people. So what the Youth League of the ANC were taking young people to government to then be able to advise him. This is what you must do for young people in all these departments.
We've seen Colin in trouble for speaking out. Do you think it's always a challenge for any youth leader to speak out for things to happen? Because you are seeing it's 2 months, obviously.
Yeah.
And for somebody like me, who's like, I just wanted to see things happen because I've got youth children, and you know, you can see they're here, all of them, they listen to you. But do you feel like you have to say something that would offend the elders for that to happen, or do you think things will just happen?
It's always the case. You must push hard as a young person in this country to then get things done. Because old people in their own nature, they start to relax and think that everything is fine, and then they'll just go to church and then pray, and then they don't know that Modimo thusa batho ba ba ithusang.
Yeah.
So they think by just praying and not helping themselves and helping the people they service, everything will just happen, manna from heaven.
But don't you worry about your position then? Because you guys, when you start getting these positions, you forget about the people, don't they?
No, we're not worried. We have to speak out. We were elected to speak out. We don't care what any ANC leader says. They can take us to DC, take us out for the organization. But if we're speaking out for the interest of young people, I think this is what we must always do. And I always believe that if you are a leader of the Youth League and the ANC leadership is always happy about you, then there's something wrong that you are doing. So you must always speak out. You must always be called names, and you must be ready for that, because this is not just a simple terrain, it's a difficult terrain. Because certain ANC leaders, when you speak out, they just see you taking them outside the dinner table. And of course, we really want to take ANC leaders out of the dinner table and put young people, because we're tired of being in the menu.
You are coming after Matume.
Yeah.
He's now an MEC.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself there?
The Youth League has got a resolution that all provincial chairpersons must be given executive authority. We're expecting the Premier to do the same thing. As to whether I see myself there or not, it's something else. But
this pronouncement was made a long time ago.
Yeah.
And
in Gauteng, it's...
You see, I'm not even saying anything. I'm just going like, what are you saying? Chairperson, what are you saying? This pronouncement was made a long time ago.
In Gauteng, it's different. And of course, we're not happy about that there's no inclusion of young people. I think we called out the Premier last year that we're not happy that there's an
Wouldn't you say because of the GNU? Positions were compromised?
The GNU does not say the ANC must exclude its young people. It has never said that, does not have that resolution. So you can't say to us, young people are not ready to lead now because we're in the GNU. We expect the ANC to do the correct thing. And then the elevation of young people in the executive authority, it's also not about me. It's about getting a young person to be in the executive authority. But the Youth League, it was clear in its position that it wants all their provincial chairpersons to be made MECs.
Let's say miracle happens. That pronouncement is honored in Gauteng. What position, or portfolio interests you?
I know that will be that will be determined by the premier and the skills they think I have, and how I'll then be able to.
What are the strengths?
Look, let's allow the premier to make
No.
pronouncements.
We're off that topic now.
Yeah.
Tell me about your strengths.
Well, I worked. I worked a lot. Of course, I'm a student activist in the education sector. Of course, I told you that when I was young, I participated in all cultural activities at the school level. So in that space as well, we'll then be able to contribute positively. But we are ready to be given any responsibility, because also the ANC has prepared us to be ready for any responsibility that we're given.
Do you see the GNU as a progressive way of doing things, or you feel compromised, or you feel it was a life-saving tactic for the ANC?
Yeah, we call it a strategic setback. You can say life-saving, so that people are able to understand. The fact is, the ANC did not reach 50% plus one. And then it had to answer the question, what do we then do? Part of the question it had to answer is that, are we still continuing to be in government, or we just allow smaller parties to do a coalition and we become an effective opposition? And I think by bringing all the parties together through the GNU was a better way than to go to any coalition with any party. Invite parties to say, we have all not reached 50%. Can we work together to build a prosperous South Africa? And I think...
How is that better than a coalition, though? Because a coalition, we know who to point at when things go wrong. We can always point at those two parties.
Yeah, but recently...
But now it's wonke.
No, recently we've witnessed coalitions not working very well in local government elections. You don't have a stable government, firstly. In local government...
Which coalitions, for example?
Everywhere in the city of Tshwane, when you speak about...
Were those coalitions, or they were
you
just...
speak about... it was coalitions.
How were they coalitions? Was there any agreement signed?
Yes, the DA was in a coalition with a lot of parties, not with the EFF, of course, but it was in a coalition with parties. But now, the instability of government, not knowing who's then a leader of government at a particular point. You have a period of 5 years. Every year there's always a motion of no confidence, and then government gets to be unstable because you change mayors, MMCs every day. Decisions that are taken today, tomorrow they might be changed because there will be a different personnel in an office. So GNU, for a stable government, because all parties are inside, there won't be a just willy-nilly motion of no confidence unless the president has seriously done something outside the constitution. Then you know that you've got a stable government, and the people of the country are able to then say, this is the priorities of government, and you are able to take government into task. But every time there's an ever-changing of government, or personnel in terms of the leadership of government, that will then create the problem. And we support the ANC in terms of saying, let's have a stable government, so that if anybody gets to be unhappy with anyone, we are all in this thing together and we are able to resolve the problems of the people and put the people first. So I think that particular process was done well, well thought of. And then for us is to support, but also work hard to change the situation, because it's not good to be in that position for long. I don't think South Africa was ever ready for coalition politics. That's why there's instability everywhere when we speak about coalition. But the GNU approach, it's proper, but we must fight hard as the Youth League that the ANC regains back its trust of the people and, of course, gets back to 50% plus one.
How do you regain the trust?
Work for the people, implement resolution.
How do you work for the people when you don't have power, by the way? Because you are ANC, you've been in power for 30 years,
Yeah.
and you are used to having resources to work for people.
Yeah.
And now suddenly the resources are shared.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we'll have to get out of this situation. I mean, the ANC it's a 113-year organization. It was worse back then during the apartheid years to even say the word ANC. Now you are free to even go to people and say, no, the ANC is correcting itself, and we think in the next general elections we'll be ready to take the country forward alone. And I think that's where we are. It takes the political will to go and work for the people. And sometimes you don't need resources of government to go and work for the people. It's about you as a leader of society, loving your people and always being there when there are problems that needs to be solved.
Where do you see the ANC after your term? At the end of your term, the Youth League?
The ANC will regain power in Gauteng. A lot of young people will vote for the African National Congress. And of course, we'll have a new generation taking over the ANC at the end of our term.
Your legacy after the term, what do you want it to be?
We want it to be the elevation of youth mainstreaming, having appointed focal points in all departments to then monitor officials on implementation of the youth quotas in government. We also want to see young people everywhere in every corner being able to trust the Youth League as an organization where they can go to and, of course, resolve their problems.
Does the GPU believe in what you are saying for the youth, or is it just an ANC Youth League resolution?
The GPU is a government formulated at that level. We are a youth league of the ANC. We don't expect any other political party to agree with us. But we expect the leadership of the ANC to understand what the youth league is saying, because we were baptized and, of course, given the same political education. And, of course, we expect the leadership of the ANC to implement resolutions of the youth league. For instance, changing the GCRA, which the Premier has agreed to, appointing the Youth Advisory Panel, which the Premier has agreed to. We're also in conversation with them to give the Youth League an executive position in the executive, but also employing a number of young people in higher managerial positions, in SMS positions in Gauteng government. That's what we expect from ANC leaders, because we don't really have confidence in leaders of other parties. We expect the ANC to continue to be the leader of society, and that's why we want excellence in leadership of the ANC all the time.
What proof would you show that the youth of Gauteng believe in the ANC Youth League? Apart from those elections that you spoke about, the student elections.
The reception we get, we have mobilized young people everywhere. Even when people thought we could not bring about 25,000 young people in a stadium at Alexandra, young people responded in numbers. That showed confidence that when you go outside and speak to young people still believe in the Youth League. We have had an economic freedom march. Young people also responded in numbers. More than 30,000 was hosted here in Gauteng. Other provinces were here, but we were responsible for 15,000 young people in that march, in that 30,000. Meaningly, when you go out and speak to young people are able to resonate to the message of the leaders of the Youth League in the province. And of course, that gives us confidence. Even in smaller programs we have in communities, the reception we get, and of course the feedback we get, is that you guys, at least, you are doing something better and something new, and then we are able to follow you.
And when you look at the Gauteng legislature, would you say the representation of youth is satisfactory?
It's not. Would have wanted 50%, mind you. I said those are our resolutions. I mean, in the ANC currently, you only have 3 young people under 35, which would have wanted to at least have more than 10, of course. But this is a struggle that we'll be waging. When we get the ANC back to power, we want to see a lot of a younger generation of the Youth League into government in the next elections. But also now, when we go to local government elections, we want younger councillors.
I was about to talk about this, because it's elections next year.
Yeah. We want younger councillors, we want young mayors. At least we have a youth mayor in Mohali City who's under the age of 35, a leader of the Youth League, a regional chairperson of the Youth League, Comrade, like he said, doing very well, responding to issues of service delivery and all that. And we want more of that to happen next year.
Would you take a position of a mayor?
No.
What are you scared of?
No, what I'm scared of. The ANC has deployed me in the legislature. And
I know they've
that's where I'm focused.
question is, would you take the position of a mayor?
No, that's where
If not, why?
That's where I'm focused in the legislature to bring about a positive contribution. Unless the ANC, my organization, says we no longer need you here, please go and take up responsibilities elsewhere, then that will be something else. But next year, we're pushing for young people to be mayors. It will not be me. Leaders of the Youth League in the regions, we're preparing them. They must be councillors and all that. That's where we're focused on.
So there are things that the ANC Youth League in Gauteng is doing.
Yeah, definitely.
No, thank you. We really appreciate that. I have a daughter. She's very young, and she always asks people these fun and personal questions. And she gave me this list, and she said, make sure that he doesn't leave without answering these questions. So are you ready for the questions? Yeah, I haven't read them, but if I fumble along the way, please pardon me.
Yeah.
Question 1. If you went in politics, what career do you think you'd be in right now?
I think I would be a soccer player.
A soccer player?
Yeah.
Which team?
No, I don't know.
Which team?
I'm a Kaizer Chiefs fan.
With Kaizer Chiefs people these days, when you ask about which team they support, but now lately you guys are coming
back.
Yeah, they don't say, they just say, we support Bafana, then this one is a Chiefs supporter. Are you going to beat Sundowns or not?
No, we're confident now. We won Pirates again. They robbed us the last time. So we're very confident that Kaizer Chiefs is rebuilding like the Youth League. It's going to come back very strong.
Okay. What's a normal day in your life like when you're not busy with politics?
I believe in meditating. Of course, having time to myself. Looking back as to whatever I achieved. Am I taking the correct direction in life? Family values that have been instilled in me, am I still on par or have I broken many? But recently I love playing with my 3-year-old child.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
The name of your child?
Ntsako. Ntsako means gold. That's a Tsonga name. Yeah.
Okay.
So in Tsonga, yeah. In Tsonga we call gold Ntsako.
Oh, nice. Yeah. All right. Who's your biggest role model, politically or otherwise?
Peter Mkawa.
So at least there are things that we are like aligned with, ne? Yeah, no. And then if you had to describe yourself in 3 words, what would they be? These are tough questions, eh?
Yeah.
3 words to describe yourself.
Humble, very patient, and I love people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Favorite South African song or artist right now?
There's a lot, but we listen to Amapiano these days.
I thought as much. I even thought you're just going to say.
No.
Yeah, hey, that was a trip, by the way.
Yeah, we don't listen to that much, but more soulful Amapiano music. That's what we listen to. Because I
was
listen
gonna
to
say,
music
but
for
he didn't
message.
answer. Favorite song or artist right now?
Yeah, no, it's a difficult question. There's a lot of songs, what can we say? Can I pass that question?
Uh-uh.
It's the obvious so.
Okay, so I would save you. I would say focalistic.
Yeah.
You from Tswane, he's from Tswane.
Yeah, no.
If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
President O.R. Tambo. And then I would have loved to understand how did he become president of the ANC for 30 years in those difficult years.
Current one that's alive?
The current serious figure that is alive, of course, would be Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And why?
You know, I'm a product of a single mother. I admire her resilience. I admire her being a leader in difficult times, even when you are judged by what your previous relationship would have been. But more interestingly for me is that how did she lead the African Union as a first woman chair? And then with all the patriarchy and sexism we have in Africa, how did she become a good African Union chair?
The funniest thing or unexpected thing that has happened to you at a political event? Tough one. Eh?
Yeah, it's a very tough one.
And don't mention the 14-year thing because you were still not.
Yeah, no. I think it's about, a stage fright. And then for a person who would have done public speaking for all these years, there are sometimes spaces where you have a stage fright and you ask yourself, how did it happen? And there was a stage where I had to take some seconds and recollect myself.
Was it after you got elected?
No, it was before. Because I had to recollect my thoughts as to, hey, this audience, man, it looks like it's not responding to what I'm saying. But after recollecting, getting myself back, they then respond. So I would have judged the audience wrongly at that time.
Where was that?
It was in a university, UJ.
The UJ in Soweto.
In Soweto, yeah.
Yeah. You saw
It was an
AJ.
it was an election campaign. So we got there on stage. Of course, students respond somehow when they don't know who you are, and they've got certain expectations. And when we spoke to them, they did not respond. But then I recall that, no, be yourself and do the things that they do. They then responded. I then realized, oh, I nearly lost myself there.
If you had one dish to survive with through the whole year,
Yeah.
which dish would that be that you had to eat every day?
Ke rata maotwana le malana and cabbage.
Are you saying Maotwana for 365 days? Cabbage.
My favorite.
No pap, nothing.
No pap, nothing.
Cabbage.
Yes.
Hey, this man.
Yeah, no.
Carnivore.
They've got a sentimental attachment to me because my mother and my aunt, they are the ones who brought me up. They used to explain stories when they cooked that meal at home. Apia cabbage, le maotwana le malana, how they grew up, and it became sentimental. And I don't miss a week without having that.
This one is interesting. If you could switch lives with any public figure for a day, who would it be and why?
President Ramaphosa.
Say that you can have family meetings. Oh,
No. I would want to be president of the country one day. So if I would love to switch for a day with any public figure, I would want to be president.
just like that.
Yeah.
So you do want to be president one day?
Yeah.
Or you wish to be one?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Good luck. What's one thing about you that people would be surprised to learn?
That I'm a quiet person and a very shy person.
Shy?
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, but I do agree. I do agree. Hey, if you were to stay in a movie, what kind of role would you want to play?
I would want to be the steering.
Steady
Savior. Yeah, the savior. Yeah. So a man that always appears to resolve problems.
In which movie? So
In any movie, uh, let's say any movies that Jackie China has always been in. He always appears. Yeah, he always appears to save lives, and he's untouchable. Yeah.
and I love it. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Yeah, always believe in your instincts. What they say. I've not gone wrong on any decisions I've made. Taking guidance from my instincts, of course, respect the people that you are around with, and of course, respect the older people, even if you disagree with them.
I love that. The last one, if you were a hashtag, what would it be? Hashtag steady.
Uh, I would be a hashtag. These days they call me a dictator, but I'm very decisive in what must happen. So you would say hashtag Njandini.
Oh,
Yeah.
hashtag Njandi.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Comrade Ntsako. I love that. That was beautiful from Comrade Kevin Mogobe Ntsako.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we really love the interview, and we hope young people out there can listen to this interview and go out there and go get those opportunities that he spoke about. Thank you.